Life teaches us something most people never stop to realize. Joy is not found in chasing the next big thing, the next paycheck, or even the next milestone. Those things can excite us for a while, but excitement fades. What you really want is something deeper, something that doesn't disappear the moment circumstances change. That is true fulfillment, and the secret to creating it lies in one simple truth. Joy that lasts is born when you live in alignment with your values and serve a purpose greater than yourself. Think about it. Every time you've done something only for temporary pleasure, whether it's buying something new, seeking validation, or hitting a short-term goal, you've felt happy, but only for a moment. But when you've given your best to something meaningful, when you've contributed to others, when you've lived by principles that reflect who you truly are, that joy doesn't fade. It becomes part of your identity. The world often tells us, get more, do more, be more. But here's the secret, you already are enough. Real joy comes not from adding more layers of pressure or pretending to be someone you're not. It comes from stripping away the noise, remembering who you really are, and living that truth boldly. Fulfillment is not a destination. It's a daily choice. It's choosing gratitude over comparison. It's choosing growth over comfort. It's choosing to love even when it's hard, to forgive when it feels impossible, and to keep moving forward when life tries to hold you back. So if you want joy that lasts, stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, what can I give? How can I grow? How can I align my actions with the person I was created to be? Because joy is not found in possessions, it's found in purpose. Remember this. True happiness doesn't live in the future. It lives in the present moment, in the way you show up for yourself and for others. And when you live that way, authentically, purposefully, and gratefully, you'll discover the kind of fulfillment that no storm can take away. So today, take a deep breath, look within, and decide, I will live aligned with my purpose. I will give more than I take, and I will never trade what matters most for what fades the fastest. That's the one secret to joy and fulfillment that actually lasts. Fire, we live in a world where it's so easy to get lost in noise. Everywhere you look, there are messages telling you how you should look, what you should buy, what success should mean, and who you should become. Social media tells you one story, society tells you another, your peers and family might tell you something else. And before you know it, you're living a life that looks good on the outside, but feels empty on the inside. Why? Because you're living out of alignment with your values. The truth is this: lasting joy and fulfillment can never come from chasing what others expect of you. It can't come from living by rules you didn't choose, or from following a path that doesn't belong to you. The only way to create joy that actually lasts is to align your life with your deepest values, the principles that define who you are at your core. Think of values as the compass of your life. Without a compass, you wander aimlessly, following whatever direction seems popular in the moment. But with a compass, even when storms come, even when you feel lost, you know which way is true. Values give you direction, they give you clarity, they give you power. Now, let's be real, living aligned with your values isn't always easy. Sometimes it requires saying no to opportunities that promise quick rewards but compromise your integrity. Sometimes it means standing alone when the crowd moves in another direction. Sometimes it means slowing down when the world tells you to speed up. But here's the payoff. When your life matches your values, you stop fighting yourself. You experience inner peace even when life isn't perfect. You experience joy that doesn't depend on conditions. You feel whole. Let's take an example. Imagine someone whose core value is kindness, but they're stuck in an environment where cruelty, gossip, and tearing others down is the norm. Every day, they laugh at jokes that make them uncomfortable, stay silent when they want to speak up, and pretend to fit in. Outwardly, they look like they belong, but inwardly, they feel drained, fake, and hollow. Why? Because they're living against their values. Now imagine that same person deciding, no more. I will not betray who I am. They start choosing kindness, even if it's not popular. They treat people with respect, even when others don't. They build friendships rooted in authenticity, not pretense. Suddenly, life feels lighter, more meaningful. The circumstances may not have changed much, but the alignment has, and that makes all the difference. Living aligned with your values is also about courage. It's about being brave enough to admit what matters to you, even when it's inconvenient. It's easy to talk about values in theory, but the real test is in the choices you make daily. Do you value honesty? Then speak the truth even when lying would be easier. Do you value family? Then prioritize time with them even when work tries to consume every hour. Do you value growth? Then embrace challenges instead of running from them. Every choice is a reflection of what you truly value, not what you say you value, but what you live. Another key to alignment is self-awareness. Many people feel unhappy, anxious, or restless, but they don't know why. Often it's because they haven't taken the time to ask, what really matters to me? What do I stand for? Without those answers, you end up chasing someone else's dream. But once you identify your values, decision-making becomes clearer. You stop being pulled in 1,000 directions because you know your true north. Think of values like roots of a tree. A tree without roots gets blown over by every storm, but a tree with deep roots can stand tall even in the harshest winds. In the same way, values root you in strength. They keep you grounded when life tests you. They keep you steady when circumstances shake. Now here's the beautiful part. When you live aligned with your values, your joy doesn't just serve you, it inspires others. People can sense authenticity. They feel drawn to someone who lives with integrity because deep down, we all crave that same alignment. By living your truth, you give others permission to do the same. But beware of the trap. Sometimes we confuse values with habits, traditions, or inherited beliefs. For example, maybe your family always valued financial security, but your heart values freedom and creativity. Maybe society told you to value status, but your soul values simplicity. That's why you must regularly pause and reflect. Are these my values, or someone else's expectations dressed as values? Because living someone else's truth will never bring you lasting joy. So how do you start aligning your life with your values? First, define them. Sit down and ask yourself, what matters most to me? What principles make me feel alive, proud, and authentic? Write them down. Maybe it's love, maybe it's faith, maybe it's courage, learning, adventure, honesty, or contribution. Whatever it is, claim it. Second, evaluate your current life. Ask, where am I living in alignment? Where am I betraying myself? If you say health is a value but you neglect your body daily, there's misalignment. If you say relationships matter but you never prioritize them, there's misalignment. Be honest. Awareness is the first step to change. Third, take actions. Small but consistent. Don't try to overhaul everything at once. Instead, make daily choices that honor your values. If kindness is a value, practice it in small ways today. If growth is a value, challenge yourself with one new step. Over time, these small choices build a life of deep alignment. Remember this: living aligned with your values may not always make life easier, but it will always make life richer. You may not please everyone, but you will please the one person who matters most, you. And when you can look in the mirror and say, I am proud of how I live, that's fulfillment, that's joy. At the end of the day, joy that lasts is not about what you achieve, but about who you become in the process, and becoming the truest version of yourself. That's the real secret. So don't trade authenticity for approval. Don't sacrifice your values for convenience. Don't silence your truth to fit in. Because when your life reflects your deepest values, you won't need to search for happiness. It will flow from within you. And that kind of joy, it doesn't fade, it doesn't break, it doesn't depend on circumstances. It's the kind of fulfillment that actually lasts. We live in a culture that glorifies instant gratification. Everywhere you turn, there's a quick fix, fast food, quick entertainment, likes on a screen, a temporary high that feels good in the moment but leaves you emptier once it fades. Pleasure isn't bad. There's nothing wrong with enjoying good food, entertainment, or celebration. But the problem comes when pleasure becomes the goal of your life instead of the byproduct of living with purpose. Here's the truth: pleasure is temporary, but purpose is eternal. Pleasure disappears the moment the experience is over. Purpose stays with you, grows with you, and fuels you through the highs and the lows. If you want joy and fulfillment that actually last, you must make purpose bigger than pleasure. Think about it. The people who feel the most alive aren't the ones constantly chasing comfort. They're the ones pursuing something meaningful. A doctor working long hours to save lives may not feel pleasure when exhausted, but they feel purpose. A parent sacrificing sleep to nurture their child may not feel instant gratification, but they feel purpose. An entrepreneur building something that changes lives might face stress, risk, and failure, but beneath it all is a sense of meaning that no pleasure could replace. Pleasure asks, what feels good right now? Purpose asks, what will matter 10 years from now? That one shift changes everything, because while pleasure fades, purpose compounds. Every meaningful action, every selfless contribution, every sacrifice towards something greater than yourself builds a legacy of fulfillment. Let's be honest, living with purpose isn't always easy. It demands discipline, consistency, and sacrifice. But here's the paradox: the more you give yourself to purpose, the more joy you discover. The more you chase temporary pleasures, the emptier you become. Purpose doesn't always give you what you want in the moment, but it gives you what you need for a lifetime. Think of it like planting seeds. Pleasure is like eating candy, sweet but gone in seconds. Purpose is like planting a tree, low, demanding, requiring patience. But when the tree grows, it provides shade, fruit, and life for years to come. That's the difference between pleasure and purpose. One fades fast, the other sustains you forever. So ask yourself, what am I living for? If the answer is comfort, approval, or material gain, you'll constantly feel restless, because those things never last. But if the answer is love, contribution, growth, service, or impact, you'll find fulfillment that no challenge can take away. When you make purpose bigger than pleasure, you stop chasing the next temporary high and start building a life that truly matters. And here's the beautiful irony: when you live with purpose, pleasure still shows up, but now it's deeper, richer, and more satisfying because it's grounded in meaning. So choose purpose over momentary pleasure, because at the end of your life, you won't remember the fleeting highs. You'll remember the times you lived for something greater. That's where joy that lasts is found. Fire if you want to unlock joy and fulfillment that actually last. There is one practice so simple, yet so powerful, that it can transform your entire perspective on life. Daily gratitude. Gratitude is not just saying thank you when something good happens. It's a mindset, a way of living, a lens through which you see the world. When you practice gratitude daily, you stop obsessing over what's missing and start recognizing what's already present. And that shift changes everything. Think about it. How many times have you achieved something you once prayed for, only to immediately start looking for the next thing? The job you wanted, the relationship you dreamed of, the opportunities you chased. Once you got them, they quickly became normal. That's the human tendency. We adapt and forget to appreciate. Gratitude interrupts that cycle. It says, pause, look around, appreciate the miracle of this moment. Here's the truth. Gratitude doesn't change your circumstances. It changes you. Two people can experience the same situation. One feels miserable, the other feels blessed. What's the difference? Perspective. Gratitude trains your mind to focus on blessings instead of burdens, on progress instead of problems, on opportunities instead of obstacles. And here's the best part: gratitude compounds. The more you practice it, the more you find to be grateful for. Your brain literally rewires itself to look for the good. Suddenly, small moments, a smile, a warm meal, a hug, a chance to try again, become sources of joy. Life starts to feel abundant, not scarce. Gratitude is also the antidote to comparison. In a world obsessed with scrolling, likes, and endless highlight reels, it's easy to feel like you're not enough. But gratitude reminds you, you already have more than someone else is praying for. It grounds you in appreciation rather than envy, in contentment rather than constant chasing. Now, let's be real. Gratitude is not always easy. When you're hurting, struggling, or facing challenges, gratitude can feel unnatural. But that's when it's most powerful. Gratitude in good times is appreciation. Gratitude in hard times is strength. Even in pain, there's always something to be thankful for: a lesson, a person, a second chance, even the breath in your lungs, and that strength helps you endure and grow. So how do you practice gratitude daily? Start simple. Every morning or night, write down 3 things you're grateful for, say them out loud, share them with someone you love. Don't just list big achievements. Notice small details too. The more specific, the more powerful. Over time, this small habit becomes a mindset shift. When you live with gratitude, joy becomes less about what you achieve and more about how you perceive. You stop waiting for the big win to feel fulfilled and start experiencing fulfillment every single day. So remember this: gratitude turns what you have into enough, and what's ordinary into extraordinary. Practice it daily, and you'll unlock a joy that no setback, no storm, and no circumstance can take away. One of the greatest truths about joy and fulfillment is this: you will never find them by staying in your comfort zone. Comfort feels safe, familiar, and easy, but it's also where dreams go to die, where potential stays locked up, and where life slowly loses its meaning. Growth, on the other hand, is uncomfortable, challenging, and even scary, but it's where true fulfillment lives. Think back on your proudest moments in life. Were they moments of ease or moments of growth? Chances are they were times when you pushed yourself, took a risk, or overcame fear. You grew, and because of that growth, you felt alive. That's the paradox of life. We long for comfort, but our souls thrive on growth. The comfort zone is like a warm bed. It feels good, but stay in it too long, and life passes you by. Stepping beyond comfort doesn't mean living recklessly. It means challenging yourself to rise higher, even when it feels uncomfortable. It's taking the job that stretches your skills, having the hard conversation you've been avoiding, chasing the dream that scares you, or breaking the habits that no longer serve you. Why is this so important for lasting joy? Because growth gives meaning. When you grow, you're not just surviving, you're evolving, becoming more than you were yesterday. That progress creates fulfillment. It tells your soul, I'm not stuck. I'm moving forward. I'm becoming my best self, and nothing feels more empowering than that. Yes, growth comes with fear, but here's the secret: fear is not a stop sign. It's a signal that you're on the edge of transformation. Fear means you're stepping into territory that matters. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every life-changing moment happens outside the zone of comfort. Consider a butterfly. It can only fly after struggling out of the cocoon. That struggle is necessary. It strengthens the wings. If you remove the struggle, the butterfly never learns to fly. The same is true for you. Your challenges, your discomfort, your obstacles. They're not there to break you, but to build you. They're shaping you into the person who can carry the joy and fulfillment you're meant to have. So how do you begin growing beyond comfort zones? Start small. You don't need to climb Mount Everest tomorrow. Push yourself in little ways every day. Speak up when you're usually silent. Wake up earlier to invest in yourself. Try something new that scares you. Each small step expands your comfort zone and builds momentum. Over time, you'll realize the comfort zone you once clung to was never where life was meant to be lived. True joy is found in stretching, learning, risking, and discovering. It's found in the version of yourself you become when you refuse to settle. So remember, comfort may feel safe, but growth feels alive. Step beyond what's familiar, and you'll find the kind of fulfillment that lasts far longer than fleeting comfort ever could. If you want to experience joy and fulfillment that actually last, there's one principle that will transform your life: give more than you take. Most of the world lives with the mindset of accumulation, collecting possessions, money, recognition, or validation. And while there's nothing wrong with receiving, here's the truth: taking without giving leads to emptiness, while giving creates a kind of joy that no possession can replace. Think about the happiest moments of your life. Were they the times you received something or the times you gave? Maybe it was when you helped a friend in need, supported a family member, or shared your time, energy, or resources with someone who needed it most. Giving creates connection, meaning, and fulfillment because it aligns with the deepest part of who we are. We are wired to serve, to love, to contribute. The irony is powerful. When you focus on giving, you end up receiving more, not necessarily in money or material possessions, but in joy, peace, love, and purpose. When you give encouragement, you receive gratitude. When you give kindness, you receive connection. When you give your best to the world gives back opportunities, growth, and fulfillment. But giving more than you take doesn't always mean grand gestures. It's not only about donating millions or starting a charity. It's about small, consistent acts of love and service, smiling at a stranger, listening when someone needs to be heard, offering encouragement when others feel hopeless, choosing kindness when you could choose indifference. These small acts ripple out, creating waves of impact you may never even see. Now, some people fear giving because they believe they'll be left with nothing. But here's the paradox. When you give from the heart, your well never runs dry, it expands. The act of giving fills you in ways that taking never can. It builds confidence, strengthens relationships, and connects you to a purpose beyond yourself. The opposite is also true. When you live only to take, you eventually feel hollow. Self-centered living may give temporary pleasure, but it can never deliver lasting fulfillment. True joy is not found in isolation. It's found in contribution. So how do you start living this way? Ask yourself every day, how can I add value today? How can I give love, kindness, or service to someone else? When you make giving your default mindset, you stop waiting for the world to fill you up. You begin overflowing into the world, and that's when life becomes meaningful. At the end of your life, you won't measure your worth by what you accumulated, but by the difference you made. Giving more than you take ensures that your life leaves a legacy of love, impact, and fulfillment. So remember this, a life of taking will leave you empty, but a life of giving will make you endlessly rich. Choose to give more, love more, serve more, and you'll discover the kind of joy that truly lasts. Fire